Sometimes a great metal album takes time to build to its highest point.
Boring!
But today we're highlighting 10 examples of opening tracks that kicked in the door right from the start. And we're starting with At the Gates and Blinded by Fear. Great build up on this one. First we get that super eerie noise element that feels like a cross between billowing wind and the clanking of industrial metal machinery.
We are blind to the worlds within us, waiting to be born.
This part may feel a little corny and dated now, but my 17-year-old self still feels the anticipation from this moment as we launch into the legendary HM2 hook. From this point on, it's a total headbanger, and all of the little variations and Thomas coming in with the trademark raspy bark. It sets the tone not only for the rest of Slaughter of the Soul, but really what melodic death metal would strive to be from this point forward.
Perfection.
Next up, we have Pantera with the Great Southern Trendkill.
Disgusting!
This one really doesn't even need to be broken down. There's something so simple and obvious about just blasting the listener with a deluge of screaming, distortion, and pounding drums. But somehow, if you ask me, nobody has ever done it as well or better than this opening track from the album of the same name.
Not even close, bud.
Then the gnarly groove kicks in and it's Stank Face City. And that crazy grindy part just after. There's a reason why this was also a mainstay of many gym workout playlists at the time. I even had a friend in high school who used this song as his alarm clock, and I can't think of a more effective song for that either. Next up, we have Soilwork with Follow the Hollow.
Welcome. Won't you please step aside and follow the hollow?
Back to some melodic death metal here. I guess there's just something about the 2000s golden era of this genre that lended itself to mythical album intros, as you'll definitely notice a trend on this list. Once more, we get the atmospheric elements and another spoken word part, busting right into a killer chuggy guitar riff and awesome drum fill before Bjorn's vocals kick in. And that could probably be enough on its own, but then they introduce the clean singing hook, which immediately tops everything. An incredible way to kick off one of their most beloved albums. Anyone who isn't banging their head and singing along to this song at that point, fuck 'em! Then we have Rammstein with Mein Herz brennt. Rammstein have a bunch of tracks with great build-ups, but this is easily my favorite album opener and possibly my favorite track of theirs, period. After some dramatic stage-setting strings and what feels like an opening to some epic German-language Broadway production, we continue slowly adding layers next with the methodical drum beat.
Mit diesem Herz hab ich die Macht.
And after all of this relatively quiet and classy fanfare, we finally feel the eruption of Till's tormented screams, industrial guitars, and a truly infectious string hook.
Mein Herz brennt.
Somehow, even after all these years, this song has never lost any of the magic it had for me the first time I heard it, and only the beginning of what is also one of, if not their best albums in Mutter. To anyone who says otherwise,
Nein.
Next up is Lamb of God with Laid to Rest. Back for a little bit more groove metal here, again proving that sometimes you don't need all of that build-up to make for a memorable kickoff. In the case of this opener to Lamb of God's seminal Ashes of the Wake, all you need is a hook that every guitar player at the time instantly wanted to learn.
If there was a single day I could live,
Oh yeah, and another spoken word intro. I swear I didn't plan for that to be the trend here, but I guess the results speak for themselves. In any case, to this day, it's clear that these guys struck gold with this riff as it earned them their first gold record and continues to be one of their most remembered guitar parts to this day.
Just hook it to my veins!
Then we have Converge with First Light and Last Light. This one is really a 1-2 punch, as first we get the haunting siren song of First Light, which is a simple but absolutely sorrowful sounding bit of guitar and ambience, but it's a necessary setup to really sell the bitter rage of Last Light exploding immediately after. I don't think I know a single Converge fan who doesn't know the opening lyrics to this track, and seeing them all scream it together in unison at live performances is a truly cathartic experience and the mark of some really great visceral songwriting. By the time the mathy transition to the next section hits, I can almost hear Jacob's desperate tears in the mix. Very emotional, powerful stuff, and coming off of the hype of Jane Doe, it set the tone that Converge weren't prepared to be some forgotten one-hit wonder.
Not a chance.
Next up, I've got In Flames with Take This Life. Back to the realm of mellow death. Now, obviously, the albums from this era on are pretty divisive when it comes to the In Flames fan base, but I'd like to think that even the greatest naysayers would have some positive things to say about this track from 2006's Come Clarity. Somewhat similar to my notes on Laid to Rest, this riff is hype as fuck. It's no small wonder that this became a Guitar Hero staple, but beyond that, it's really the full build-up into the chorus that makes this song such a powder keg of adrenaline. First, it's the riff, then the great melodic transition into Anders' chaotic screams. Then we move into the pre-chorus, building tension like climbing a precipice. And finally, the cathartic tumble over the peak into another insanely catchy chorus. Again, masterful songwriting that, regardless of whether you like the outcome versus something like the Jester Race, I feel like you have to respect it. To anyone who doesn't,
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Getting into some really heavy hitters here, we have Meshuggah with Future Breed Machine. Now this one was hard because Meshuggah has so many incredible album openers, including Stenga, Combustion, and I Am Colossus. But when it came down to it, this one had to be the primary example. They really take their time in the beginning with nearly 30 seconds of just slowly building volume of that discordant opening riff before that final wrecking ball increase and the abrupt introduction of the djenty rhythm guitars and mathy drums. That part already basically gets me foaming at the mouth, but then they hit the first transition to further scramble your brain. And then Jens comes in with his trademark vocals also as percussion delivery and further unpredictable pace changes. Then the gang vocals. I could go on and on with this one, but suffice it to say that this track absolutely leveled my 16-year-old brain the first time I heard it, and I consider it to be a huge gateway for me exploring more extreme music. To this day, and especially hearing it played live just a few years back, was like a religious experience.
Here again was the very voice of God.
Next up, the Dillinger Escape Plan with Panasonic Youth. Another no-frills, no-holds-bar way to start an album, and basically the one that threw me headfirst into becoming a huge mathcore fan. If Meshuggah broke my brain, Miss Machine shattered what was left of it. Those crazy panic chords matched with Greg's unhinged staccato delivery make me want to put my fist through the wall every time this track hits. Then they settle into that hypnotic 4/4 section to get me bobbing my head. Only to pull the rug once more with that noodly little guitar hook going into yet another banger riff and further time shifts. And also, much like Future Breed Machine, this song only further evolves and contorts the further you get into it. Rip to the Kings, but this is just one of many high points in their legacy.
One for me, and one for my homies.
And then we have Arch Enemy with Enemy Within. For me, this is the song that actually inspired this list, and the first one that inevitably comes to mind when this topic comes up. You've got that classy piano to set the stage, slowly building in layers of synth before those big pounding snare hits kick in, almost like a marching band. Transitioning into that amazing hammer-on pull-off riff. And building into a full-on tapping harmonized solo before finally leading into Angela's screams over the first verse. Now this entire song is great, but that minute and 25 seconds just setting it up is absolute magic that I don't think I've ever seen them top since. Y'all check out this playlist for more metal list related videos, and comment with your own suggestions if you'd like to see me do a part 2. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.